Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to the Words, Women, and Wisdom radio show, streaming live from Dallas, Texas, airing internationally. I'm your host, Yvonne E.L. Silver, and I'm based in Calgary, Canada, at the base of the Rocky Mountains. If you've ever wondered about coming to the Calgary Stampede, come on down in July and visit us. It's a brilliant 10 days of partying. And I'm joined today by my guest, Dagmar Fleming, who I will formally introduce in just a moment. Hello, Dagmar. Where are you dialing in from today?
I'm coming from Dallas, Texas. A little bit rainy, but sunny attitude.
Awesome. So Dallas is the place to be apparently today. So today we're going to dive into this topic entitled You're Not Stuck, You're Subconsciously Sabotaged. So intriguing. And it's actually going to be a live show today. So I will be giving out in a little bit the number to dial into for you to dial in live with your questions. So sometimes we have live shows, sometimes we have some pre-recorded opportunities. This time live with Dagmar and myself. So if you haven't listened to the Words, Women, and Wisdom radio show before, what's it all about? It's about stories, women rising from tragedy to triumph, who are now out in the world doing really interesting work. And I bumped into Dagmar and I was listening to her story, and it struck me that she would be an exceptional guest to join the show. Because, what if the reason that you're spinning your wheels is not actually a strategy problem? Maybe it is a sabotage pattern that's burned deep in your energy field. Now, in this powerful conversation today, we're going to be talking with Dagmar, former international business consultant turned energetic breakthrough expert. And she's going to be revealing how high achieving women in particular, if you're a man listening, you're going to still get lots from this conversation, but how to move from unknowingly operating from outdated programming to something more powerful, getting through looking at energetic imprints as well as some other techniques. So it's all about unlocking your success. That's where Dagmar helps. She works with high achieving women, as do I. She's the founder of Unlock Your Success, which is a powerful mentorship program designed to help purpose-driven women clear energetic and subconscious blocks so they can finally rise to their next level of income, of impact, and of confidence. She's actually a 3-time best-selling author. Excuse me there, a bit dry. An award-winning transformational leader, the creator of the triple quantum reset method, which is her signature method that clears sabotage patterns on the energetic, subconscious, and behavioral levels. She's also leading something she calls the Athena Circle, which we'll talk about a little bit later, a global community of women leaders that are really dedicated to spiritual growth, personal transformation, and extraordinary success. So welcome, Dagmar. I'm so glad you could slip me in between your other speaking gigs today.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, and welcome to our audience.
Welcome to our audience. So we're going to have a few questions first, then we're going to open it up for live callers and dial in. So ladies and gentlemen, get your pens and pencils ready, because there are going to be some wisdom nuggets you want to make sure that you note down. And then, as I mentioned, even if you saw the show advertised on LinkedIn or Facebook or from Dagmar or myself, you may not have the number handy. I will find that, will provide that number for you so you can also dial in and be part of this conversation today. So by way of a background, as I said, I typically interview women who've risen from tragedy to triumph as a certified executive coach working to help women entrepreneurs seeking to flourish. It's a passion talking with other women entrepreneurs. So you help women unlock success, but your journey, we talked in the green room before, your journey started under a very different kind of system. So growing up in a communist country, what was that like, and how did that shape your drive?
It certainly was different than living in America, and this is the reason I came to this amazing land of individuality and entrepreneurship. But growing up, we were um, told limitations that shaped how we perceive the world. So imagine being told that poverty is virtuous, that struggle is revered, and somehow it's best to keep your heads down. So I felt like there were external limitations placed on that human spirit,
Mm,
and wanted to explore what would that feel like to be in a country that actually reveres drive for success, for thriving, where it is absolutely okay to express yourself uniquely as you are. So I got on a plane, arrived in the United States, and the rest of my life unfolded in the most unexpected ways.
well, I'm laughing with you as you say this because, I uprooted from London, England. You can tell from my accent. I wasn't born in Canada where I am now. At 22, uprooted, went to work with a British educational company that was hiring and training sales reps in Vancouver. And that was where my journey began, working with people passionate about communications, sales in particular. And now, that's translated many years later, 30 years of business success, into helping women, especially with confident conversations. We'll talk a bit more about that later. But I hear you. You get on the plane, you don't know where you're going. I had one suitcase and a set of skis because they said you could bring two pieces of luggage. No snow in
Exactly.
Vancouver in June. So, what was the biggest mindset shift that you had to make coming from, Poland to the US, especially, when you think about, you know, success isn't about hard work, but you've learned since then it's about energy and alignment. So, it is a mindset shift, right?
Well, I had to learn it really hard way, and I'll explain why. I immediately knew that I wanted to be in international business development, and I was extremely successful at it. So I had a robust career to the point where I even started my own global consulting company. So we can say I pursued the American dream, and the American dream was dreaming with me. I felt good, money was rolling in, clients were coming through referrals until I reached a level of success that really burst me inside. And what I mean by that is that I made too much money too fast and too easily to accommodate that expansion. So I
Mm,
did the only logical thing I could do at that time. I started sabotaging my own success. I stopped
mm,
following up with leads after going to trade shows. I even performed work for clients that I never charged for. So I was really trying to decrease the amount of visibility, success, and money that I've accumulated. And what I realized is that even though I left communism behind, it was following me across the ocean. And this is really what started this journey towards unlocking my own success and understanding what ideas and concepts are deeply imprinted in our minds and energetics that continue to reverberate through our life, creating destructive patterns. And unless we clear them, we will be stuck in a loop. We'll be repeating the past. And of course, our listeners are probably wondering, interesting story. We're not from an ex-communist country. What does this have to do with us? Well, communism is just an example. It's an allegory for experiences in our lives. It is an
right.
external limitation that somebody placed on us that we accepted. So for our listeners, it could be Aunt Mary who said, "You're pretty, just find yourself a rich husband." For somebody else, it could be, "Hey, Peter, you're not that smart. Try to go into basketball and try to create a career there." Once we internalize these ideas, they become our operating system. So the
Right.
biggest shift I had to realize is that the limitation is never external. It is the internal belief that we allowed ourselves to control how we show up in the world.
Right. Yeah, I was in another conversation just last week, and we were talking about what gets formed before you're age 6, 7 in your belief system. And when we're told often enough, we don't know any different at that young age, so we believe that that is truth, and it is not our truth. And then those things very often do get just stuck. And in my work, even with confident conversations, that's the title of my best-selling book, Words, Women, and Wisdom: The Modern Art of Confident Conversations. When women are coming to me and they're expressing where they're at in their business, or how they're feeling about their business, or the fact that they're not confident in getting sales revenue, very often how they're expressing is a direct reflection, obviously, of where they're at inside. And I hear you with the communist growth experience as a child, because in England, they have a class structure. And wherever you're born, whether that's lower class, middle class, upper class, unless you're in society or royalty, you stay in that tier. Even if you are super successful, people don't acknowledge you, and it's not recognized, because your new money doesn't count towards their class structure. So it's wonderful that we're both now living in freedom, in me in Canada, you in the US, and being able to really play with these mindset learnings. So if you're listening in and you're saying, wow, this is already an intriguing conversation, I want to join in. I have questions already. We're going to get to talk about Dagmar's triple quantum reset methodology in just a moment. But here's the number to dial in on. If you are international, you can call 1-888-627-6008. Or if that toll-free line doesn't work in your country, depending where you're calling from, you can also dial direct during the show only at 323-744-4831. And I will repeat those numbers again a little bit later. So you've developed a methodology. You call it the triple quantum reset. So when it comes to this topic of self-sabotage, what exactly is this system, and how is it different from any other mindset work or energy work? I'm certified level 2 in Reiki, so energy work is something that I practice as well, but in a different way than you do it. Tell me more.
So most entrepreneurs who struggle don't realize that you cannot out-strategize frequency. And what that means is that we are this amalgamation of all of our beliefs, behaviors, painful memories, wounds, and they have their own unique vibration, because they are attached to emotions like shame, guilt, sadness, fear, lust, apathy, resignation. In other words, something happened in your life. Maybe you wanted to recite a poem in front of kids in a kindergarten, and they laughed at you. And that created so much angst and fear of being visible, and shame, guilt, but also sadness, because it was hurtful to be laughed at. Well, those emotions have their own energetic imprint. And until cleared, they continue to broadcast like a radio station. And this is the reason why we can pretend to be confident on the outside. And let's say you are in a boardroom, there are different ideas presented, and you want to speak up, but all you can remember is that moment when you did do something in front of everyone else and they rejected you. So now that frequency is beaming forward and stopping you in your tracks. In a sales conversation, it can show up as lack of confidence. You may come up as what they call in sales big dog, flashy, and big attitude, but underneath there is a part of you that's hurt, that's wounded, and you cannot hide it. It's always there. As humans, we read each other energetically and intuitively. So the client will lean in first because of perhaps the words or personality that you exude, and then pull out because underneath all of that, something lacks congruence. So the triple quantum reset is designed to go to the root of the problem. And if we use analogy of a plant, it's not the leaves that are wilting. Sometimes it's not even lack of fertilizer. What if the soil itself is acidic, so the roots can pull in the nutrients that the plant needs to thrive? What do we do at that point? We yank the plant and replant it. And that's exactly what we need to do when we start running those self-sabotaging looping patterns.
Mm. So you talk about the self-sabotage patterns. Um, and certainly when they're stuck, yes, I know resonant energy. When some of my clients are showing up and they're talking and I say, no, give me a summary of, what's your business all about and why you're passionate about it. And the vibration of the words is not in alignment. It's not energetic resonance. So talk about the sabotage patterns a little bit more. And what's new in this field since you've been working in this for like 20 years? What have you seen emerge that aligns with the new way of thinking? And I think there's more acceptance now that energy, wave patterns, etc., can make a massive difference. And also this topic of really getting to the root of things is an important one. Can you share a little more on this idea?
Absolutely. We've gone far in our understanding of how the world operates. Even Albert Einstein admitted that absolutely everything's energy. And it was really the developments of the quantum physics that showed us that there's something below the surface. And once we started digging in, we realized that we are actually architects of our reality. So when we're presented with an opportunity to expand, what shows up is those old concepts that have been planted into our mind through societies, cultures, direct family members, and they cause us to pull back. So if I were to pinpoint number one self-sabotaging root cause of all of my clients, I would say it's a very prevalent feeling of unworthiness. It's shocking that it's the most worthy, heart-centered, and conscious purpose-driven leaders that tend to question their worthiness, which shows the expansion of their mind and social responsibility. But my invitation to our listeners today is to really dig into the concepts that you are allowing to control your self-expression. Because why would you not be worthy of your passion? Why would you not be worthy of being uniquely you when we know that we're divinely designed to be unique? Let's just find two people with the same fingerprints. Like, good luck on that, right? Or the same iris. We clearly have been designed to be authentically different. And when we embrace that diversity of expression and views, then the concept of am I worthy of being me will subside, because we simply will allow everyone to express themselves according to their own design and desire.
Well, very often, I'm in conversation with a variety of different transformational leaders, all have their own different slant on, getting into the flow and the physics and the energy. And, if we look and say, yeah, we're all individuals, we're all, unique DNA, we're a spark of creation, we're here on the planet to be expansive and be creative. What I hear you saying is you're looking at this from a very practical standpoint and saying, okay, what happened to me when I was in business? And then how can I translate that into something that is a system that works for my clients? So I'm curious, what kind of transformations do they experience as they're going through this reset, this triple quantum reset process with you?
I would say phenomenal acceleration, because ultimately what my desire is for my clients is to shed the external limitations, the internal beliefs that keep them small, and then allow themselves to step into this soul-led blueprint. And what I mean by that is, if you think about it, when you were born, the world was at your fingertips. You believed in absolutely all possibilities. And then so-called cultural and societal programming started. And suddenly you couldn't speak to angels because they are not real. Or if you said, I can be a ballerina, maybe your mom or your dad said, sweetheart, no, you're just not pretty enough. You're too fat, right? And then you started shutting down all these possibilities. So when we work together, the desire is to peel us like onions, to remove the external layers that are not true, to get to the core, the brilliance of who you are. When you start believing why not instead of why can't I, and when you start showing up with the attitude of what else is possible for me, then sky is the limit. And I know it sounds just like a fancy saying that everybody does on a talk, but what if every day you showed up and ask yourself, what else I haven't tried yet? What
Right.
else is possible for me? What
Yeah.
that does is energetically opens the doors, opens the windows, and a fresh breath of air comes in, and suddenly you're sitting in a fragrance of possibility instead of an odor of disappointments and limitations.
Yeah. This is very familiar territory. Just on the weekend, Dagmar, I was actually out doing some forest walking with a good friend of mine, and we were standing on a bridge, and I was looking down, and at that particular moment, I was actually feeling a little blocked. And when I looked down, and we talked about it together, looking down, there was a whole bunch of rocks right underneath my feet that were blocking me. But when I shifted over to be in the flow, a lot of different energy rushed right in, and I could see there's a clear flow path. And when we have that mindset shift, it is all about perspective and perception, right? We can choose at any time to go through looking at life with a different lens. Is the glass half empty, is the glass half full? So I love hearing these stories, particularly when there's a brilliant story that is a client story. Well, she was here and then she went to here. Any of those stories springing to mind? I know you were going to keep it in confidence who the person is, but anything that you really want to share there that's a great
Absolutely.
story?
You know, a lot of my clients come to the program because they believe that they are stuck. They're
Mm.
doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe they try to magnify how many hours they work. They're just not getting the impact. Sometimes what happens is they are pulled into alignment. So imagine a lawyer who's a corporate lawyer, uh, and through this work realizes that there's so much more to her, that she wants to be a leader of women who are struggling through divorce and the new identity, and how to assist them in that process. So she starts her own practice. Another client came to the program because he wanted to receive a promotion and a new job at a very coveted technology company. So within a month and a half, he showed up at an interview with this new attitude of everything's possible for me. And he did get the job. But the story gets twisted because 2 weeks later, he showed up to my session again and he said, Dagmar, I quit that job. And there I was thinking, you know what? I can't believe it. All his dreams, his entire life, he wanted this job. Why would he quit? And his response was, this program opened me up to so many possibilities that I didn't even know existed. So, yes, I did get that job and realized that's just a stepping stone. He
Right.
opened his own, he developed his own app and became a millionaire. So,
Woohoo!
this is
Playing
the
too
idea.
small.
Yeah, well, that's just one of the millionaires that we produce in this program. Another one was selling electrical services and decided that he needs to open retail stores because his passion is somewhere else, and he's extremely successful. So, when we look at what's happening when we allow ourselves to simply follow the desire, follow the passion, the world becomes magical. When I had this divine download of the triple quantum reset modality, we can say instantaneously, I walked away from extremely successful global consulting company, from B2B, switched to B2C. And I'll never forget a moment when a business consultant looked at me and said straight into my eyes, "You'll never succeed." And my response was, "Watch me."
Right.
Because I knew that if I follow my passion, if I will align with the higher calling, if I will allow my intuition, my highest self, this universal divine consciousness guide me, there is nothing that can stop me from moving forward. So I want to share inspiration for everyone listening to today. We know economy's tough. We know there's a lot of change in societies, in political systems. What if we look at life and everything that's coming our way with simple affirmations like everything is happening for my highest good. I'm always taken care of by the divine. My desires are fulfilled. My wants are met. What if we start projecting that forward instead of falling into the turmoil around us?
It sounds like you've been listening into my morning meditation, Dagmar.
Well, telepathically, very possible.
Exactly. So, when we look for those positives, what if when we give a command to the universe, and I'm saying this, universe, spirit, higher self, whatever label you put on it, I refer to universe. When we give the command, we give an instruction, it is heard. It has to be heard. It also, though, has to be believed by your soul, right? That it is possible. And so I love the work that you're doing. It's such a big shift. The work that I do when I'm talking with my clients around, some of the simplest concepts, even in my book, are about a switch up, right? It's a mental switch up. Sometimes it's one word difference. And, a word could be should, women should on themselves all the time. I should do this, I should do that. Well, yes, now you're in this heavy obligation energy. I'm doing it for someone else because I should, not because I want to. Whereas if they switch one word to could, it's pretty similar sounding, should to could, but all of a sudden there's this light energy and possibility and options and stepping into choice and choosing because they want to do it and they get to do it and it's fun, not because it's a heaviness. So we each have our own gifts and we're playing with these in support of our clients. I just for the next few minutes I want to go to a quick interlude. In a moment I'm going to give you that dial-in number again, so if you missed it last time and you're listening to the show and you have questions for Dagmar or myself, you can dial in after the interlude. And so here's the number again: 1-888-627-6008. Or if it's a direct dial, because toll free is not working for you in your country, 323-744-4831. So we're just going to roll to talk a little bit more. People are always intrigued, like, what is the book about? Why did it come up, etc. For the next couple of minutes. So stay with us and we'll be back in just a moment with more from Dagmar. This is a really interesting story. We're going to be giving away a couple of gifts, so you don't want to leave now. Stay with us. And here's a little bit more about Words, Women, and Wisdom, the Modern Art of Confident Conversations, and how it came about. Ladies, a new book is on the horizon. Words, Women, and Wisdom, the Modern Art of Confident Conversations. This new book is for women ready to rediscover their inner confidence, take a stand for themselves in life and business by using more powerful language. Words are so powerful and have already changed history. On October 5th, the New York Times published a story detailing decades of allegations of sexual harassment against film producer Harvey Weinstein. And numerous women in the entertainment industry found the courage to go public, banding together with a powerful voice that change is long overdue. Even Oprah Winfrey, television network icon, gave a rousing speech at the Golden Globe Awards in January. The media has showcased the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund. The Me Too movement is flourishing and all signaling it's time for women's equality and change. I believe it's time to give women the verbal agility to create more confident conversations. Words, Women and Wisdom, The Modern Art of Confident Conversations is the book which provides practical approaches for women to ask for what we really want and receive our request. Hello, I'm Yvonne Silver, certified executive coach and senior HR professional, seasoned in business. I teach women to flourish in business by using more confident language to help empower and engage others. This book is the result of over 35 years of my career, professional career, working in 4 different countries. I've interviewed over 6,000 people in my career for job interviews, executive coaching, for sales and consulting conversations. And I've listened to hundreds of women in particular who are looking for a better way to collaborate. They're looking to be asking for what they really want and heard and validated, especially in business. And women often earn less than men for doing exactly the same job. It's 2018. It's time for change. The Modern Art of Confident Conversations explores words we use at home, at work, words that trip us up, elevate us and encourage us, and when no words are even required. It is about how to leverage the power of words in a positive, in a collaborative and impactful way. Now I work with women entrepreneurs and leaders who are empowering other women and leading through mentorship programs and my coaching, public speaking, interviews and writing. I'm passionate about women's equality. Why? I grew up in England in a house with a flow of negative comments from my father which destroyed my mum's dignity until she became an empty shell of the vibrant woman she'd once been, belittled by constant criticism and questioning of her abilities. Through my own life journey and supporting hundreds of female clients, I've discovered critical words to ask to get what we really want collaboratively. I know there are critical links between our language, our behavior, our mindset, and our success in life. Words from a song can replay in our head for hours, and poetry can bring a lump in our throats. I've combined my insights with interviews from influential women, sharing their pearls of wisdom, supplemented with research and reference studies from established scholars. Women are rising up. It's time for women to be heard. Let's use more powerful, positive language and join the rising tide of change. This book is for you, a woman looking to the future, ready to embrace significant positive changes in your life by using more confident language. Eliminate those words that drain your power, add words that energize and invigorate, and shift from ordinary to extraordinary. Just one word can change your life. I believe every woman needs their own copy of this powerful book. It's time for action and time for change. Order and reserve your own copy of Words, Women and Wisdom today. Thanks to show producer Doug. So the concept is that whether it's our self-talk or whether it's language and feedback from somebody else, we can shift it. So I'm curious to hear, Dagmar, what's one of your success strategies, whether it's an energetic or a mindset shift, something that the listeners can start to do today to practice to start getting, unstuck from where they may be?
Well, first, let me tell you, I am very impressed with your book and bringing attention to how words influence how we show up in the world. In fact, part of my gift is to listen to my clients and understanding the disappointments and painful memories and wounds that are carried underneath the words. Sometimes we can say, yes, I think I could be a speaker, but underneath it says, Daddy thought I was stupid, right? And unfortunately, we carry that information. So making sure that we use empowering words as opposed to disempowering is very important. And I really applaud you for bringing this to everyone's attention. So we really need to get that book for everyone.
Thank you.
As far as the shift, I would recommend that we start with self-awareness. This is foundation for absolutely any transformation and personal acceleration. If we don't know that we're running on automatic, which we do most of the day, each day, then how can we possibly do something different? So when you become an observer of your reality, now you're back in the driver's seat. And with words, those simple tweaks around what can or cannot be done, using the phrases like, what if I make it happen? What if I succeed? Already opens the door to something different.
Yeah.
The next one is we absolutely have to let go of the past, because when the vision that you have for yourself becomes more powerful than painful memories of what happened, then your future will unfold instead of being stuck in your past. So why keep repeating the same mistakes, hoping that somehow your life will change? It's like being a poker addict that lost a game and then keeps losing more and more, hoping for getting the money back. It's not going to happen. You just need to walk away from that table. And that's symbolic to us that what if we just let go of the past experiences and not allow them to dictate what's possible for you in the future? Because there is no such thing as failure. Come on. I always say that an expert, my definition, somebody who failed so many times in so many ways, they exactly know now what not to do. That's what makes you an expert. So, was it a failure or was it a training ground?
It was a lesson.
Yes. So as an entrepreneur, I mean, allow yourself to go in all kinds of uncharted territories. And if it's a flop, who cares? Celebrate that. You learned something. How
Yeah.
would you know that you need to go to the right if you didn't go to the left and discovered it led nowhere? It's
Yeah.
okay. If we can be just so a little bit less serious about like being always, on top of everything. We're
Yeah.
human. Let's be human.
Let's be human, exactly. And when it comes to the essence of coaching, obviously, first step is awareness, right? First point of change, to even know that there is something that we could do differently that is having a significant impact if we keep doing the same thing. In most of my programs, I have a first 90 days program, for example, for that person who's landing in their new job and wants to really be promotable even after the first 3 months, to be visible, to be valued, etc. First, we got to clear some space to work together before we dive into adding all this new information. Otherwise, it just becomes overload. So, editing out, any toxic relationships, anybody that's sucking your energy and your time, thinking about when are you the most energetic? Is it first thing in the morning? Are you a night owl? And really diving into what have we got to work with to begin with? What is this blank slate looking like? And what do you know about yourself that you can bring forward to build on? Very important. So if it's women in particular who are feeling like, yeah, we've done all the right things, we've, made some shifts, but we're still not where we want to be. I mean, I can put my hand up in this in transparency and say, there are certain things that I haven't accomplished yet in my life. And, I just had a big birthday and I'm looking at those things with a new lens. What would you say to her about that?
That we have to get down to the level of emotional imprints.
Mm,
Every experience that is negative carries with it very deep uh, uh, emotion. It's a charge. And that charge keeps resonating through our minds, through our bodies. It can cause an actual physical illness because if there is a pattern that hasn't been addressed chronically, we'll develop chronic diseases. It can show itself in a mental looping, like you keep saying the same things to yourself, and now the brain is programmed for that idea. So even if you are like, well, I want to be a speaker, I want to be a coach, I want to start, maybe a kindergarten for gifted children. If the brain shuts it down, that means you're running on an automatic pathway in your brain.
right.
Um, and once you realize that something is not progressing the way you want it to, it's time to take the reins back and regain control of over your life. So, um, in my Unlock Your Success program, we have a series of exercises that completely reshape how you perceive yourself. We start with doing an inventory of all the things that you've done right in this life. Most people will be like, oh, I tried this, it didn't work out. Yeah, I had a bad relationship. Yeah, probably will have another one. So we run on what was wrong. Where in Unlock Your Success, we always run on what was right.
Yeah.
Once we've created this infrastructure, a foundation for your self perception, we start dismantling every belief that's telling you that you should not do something. And we use a lot of different easy techniques that will reprogram you, whether it's your peripheral vision, using your body, repetition, easy mantras, frequency work, which allow you to step into this new perception of who you are. And then in a third level of the program, we start dismantling the routine of your behaviors. How many of us wake up and for the first hour of a day, we just don't even know where the time went? Well, we were doing the things on automatic, like a horse that takes the owner who's sleeping in a cart back home to the stable. So if we can take that whole procedure of how we show up behavior wise out of the equation and create a brain that says, I'm open to something new. What if I do something so simple as switching my morning coffee to tea? What if I brush my teeth with the left hand instead of right?
I was
Well,
just thinking that about, there we go, the telepathic connection, brushing your teeth
yeah,
with the other
it's
hand. Yeah,
literally disrupting the status quo because where you are now, whether it's in your business or personally, is a result of how you have been showing up to this point.
yeah,
But let's face it, if you always do 2 plus 3, you can only get 5, according to conventional mathematics, at
right.
least. If you want it to be 10, one of those digits have to change. So from pure mathematics, we're told that change requires a different factor to be introduced into your existence.
Right.
So when we combine new perception of who you are, using your brain as your champion instead of this naysayer that constantly, like a little chihuahua, is telling you, no, you can't do this, no, don't do that, no, it will never happen, you won't succeed. What if you've got a brain that says, you are awesome? You are the best that can be. Why don't you try this? We haven't tried this yet. This is exciting. When you're operating on that and the brain's open to change, oh my goodness, you start doing things you've never done before. Like you start a new company and then you become a speaker and then you write books and then you write articles and who knows what else I'm going to do next. Maybe I'll try to be a ballerina.
Well, it's interesting you bring the ballerina up. I do have a picture of myself, probably age 4 in a tutu. I just, from a physicality standpoint, I just was not very well balanced. So trying to follow somebody else's steps was never my thing. Even later on in jazzercise and other opportunities for specific dance moves, I always wanted to do my own thing. So I got thrown out of ballet. Anyway, um, I love the fact that not only are you providing very specific programs where it sounds like people can work one-on-one. I love one-on-one coaching because it really is, tailored, customized to the individual person. I also like working in groups where we can really maximize the availability, the bandwidth, the mind share, etc. And you have a group too, right? Your Athena Circle. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, when I started Unlock Your Success, that was already 180-degree change in my life. And I thought that I was done. I love what I do. I love this kind of one-on-one work and seeing my clients step into the version of themselves they didn't even know they had. But right in the midst of the pandemic in 2020, I suddenly had a new vision. And this vision showed me a puzzle where you start with one piece and then it requires all the other pieces to assemble for this beautiful mosaic to show up. And that was the beginning of the Athena Circle, a community where women come together because each one is a vital piece in the new consciousness that we're building. And Athena is a Greek goddess that promotes true authenticity, really allowing yourself to express yourself in your beauty according to what drives you and your passions without judgment, bias, or opinions of others. But also, she's really driving this idea that we have a soul purpose that only we can fulfill. So, are you in that purpose? In the Athena Circle, we combine business acumen with spiritual development to create a true holistic body, mind, spirit connection. So, jokingly, I call us business badasses and spiritual gangsters because we really want to explore law of attraction, quantum manifestation, creation, manifestation, you name it. It's really about integrating all aspects of our psyche instead of that old paradigm where you had to be this very non-spiritual business logical person.
Right. Well, I love the fact that you're bringing together the business expertise that you have with the spiritual element and the spiritual side. There's so many elements that we both have in common, although obviously we're both doing a very unique work in unique ways. When I think about, going through 5 years of, merger and acquisition and, being a VP in a global talent management firm and, all of these experiences shape who we are and who we've become and what we can bring to bear to the world. Certainly the opportunity for speaking up and speaking out, that's one of my passions, right? So playing a bigger game, this radio show, speaking, my book, working with individuals, with groups, etc. That's how I have put that intersection together. However, it's really nice to be connecting with others who have that spiritual understanding of what's possible. And so it doesn't sound, everything that you're sharing doesn't sound woo-woo to me. And I'm hoping for the listeners as well, even though we've had a quiet crowd today. Okay, so maybe you're just shy and you're not, sure if you want to go live on air with your question. You can do it anonymously too. But it's amazing what is coming forward in the world right now. And I believe that what you're offering is truly needed even more than ever right now, because working, one of my mentors says, working in lone wolf mode just doesn't work anymore. So collaborative conversations where women feel supported. I'm in a number of communities where it is about women supporting women. And when we do that together, that question of, if what if becomes more possible, because as my friend Monica Kretschmer says with Universal Women's Network, when we see one woman do it, we see it, we can believe that it will happen, it can happen, but we have to showcase all of the good things that women are up to in the world. So I'm really grateful you were able to come on the show today.
And you know what makes us unique is that we're not a networking group. We are as authentic as you can imagine. There are ladies who come to the events with no makeup on or in pajamas. We've had ladies who are breastfeeding. It is true sisterhood where we are more concerned about the embodiment of the divine feminine
Right.
because it is the energy that has over eons of times become distorted within women. We were led to believe that we need to strive for power, that we need to show up like men or somehow survive in their systems. Now, by embodying that feminine energy and essence within us, we unfold the power of magnetism and manifestation and ease, peace, joy that we didn't even tap into over the thousands of years because, again, we were simply led to believe that somehow it was wrong to be intuitive or too emotional.
Mm.
Now, all of these energies coming to the forefront. So, as I look at the shift of consciousness within the Athena Circle itself, I noticed that we start working more on truly holding that feminine essence. In fact, the event that we have coming up is the Magdalene activation, and
Mm-hmm.
it's designed to help women embrace being a woman, embrace that goddess-like vibrancy and sensuality, this compassion for the communities, but compassion that's not codependent,
Mm.
and the power, the strength of the female spirit, who, let's say, can birth another human being, creativity that flows through us, this center, the womb, as our portal to the
Yeah.
original magnificence. And it is so delightful to see how women are stepping into the power of the female energy, shedding the masculine power, so that we can now come in coherence with our masculine counterparts as representing our essence instead of running on theirs.
Brilliant.
So a lot is happening consciousness wise within our circle.
Excellent. So we mentioned giving people a couple of gifts. So one of your gifts was something you referred to as, oh, here's the title: Four Ways Your Brain is Bankrupting Your Bank. So where can people get a hold of that? And is that the same place that they can also find out more about the Magdalene activation? Because I'm curious about that too.
Yes, so my website is dagmarfleming.com, and we'll include the link to the guide in the show notes, but you can also find it right there on my website. The guide presents four different ways we sabotage our money-making ability. A lot
Mm,
of times, conscious and heart-centered entrepreneurs feel unworthy of the success that they drive for others. So this will help you understand how you may be bankrupting your account, allowing yourself to run on these disempowering beliefs around money.
mm,
And the second gift is magnetic voice activation. This will work with you to allow you to share your message with confidence, with clarity, with energetic congruence, so that your potential clients or the audience can relate to what you're saying, because it will match your frequency, it will match your passion, and therefore will produce more sales, more collaboration opportunities, more impact and influence. And to
mm.
visit the Athena Circle website, just hop onto theathenacircle.com. That's TheAthena circle.com.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, that magnetic voice activation sounds intriguing too. So, if you've been listening to the show today, as we are coming up on a few more minutes before the close, I want to offer an additional gift. So, it's just gift giveaway today. Two generous-hearted soul women who really want others to succeed. So, my gift is actually it's on my website, YvonneSilver.com. And if you click there and go to the free gift tab, there will be a personality intelligence opportunity to learn more about your personality code that pops up on the main screen. That's one gift. But the second gift I wanted to talk specifically about is actually a free chapter out of my book. So it's chapter 8, which is the chapter that is called When No Words Are Required. So if you click the free gift tab, you can pop in your information where you want the free chapter to be sent, so you can download that. And that is from Words, Women, and Wisdom, The Modern Art of Confident Conversations. As you heard in the video clip there, it launched in 2018. It hit bestseller overnight in 2 different categories. And that is an opportunity to taste a little bit of it. It does include the intro, and then also some history about women and the women's revolution and different phases. And then it talks about that chapter 8 topic, when no words are required. So how do you use the power of silence? How do you show up being credible before you even say a word? Yes, people are feeling into your energy and they're giving you a quick first impression. You only have one chance to make that a great first impression. And then people are feeling into your energy as well. So the message, as Dagmar is saying as well, both on the same page here, it has to be resonant energy. It has to be a message that is truly what you're representing and what you want to bring to the world. So I'm so glad that we had such strong alignment today. So more information about Dagmar. This has been such an intriguing conversation. I'm so thrilled that you were able to join me. The information is Dagmar Fleming, so 1M, dagmarfleming.com. You can learn more about her work, her programs, her Athena Circles, etc., and pick up that free gift. 4-ways-guide. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. And there will be a replay of this show. So if you missed something or you wanted to get it repeated, you'll be able to do that. You can follow along on my social media, on LinkedIn or Facebook. You can also find some of the replays on YouTube as well, on my YouTube channel. So make sure that you hit subscribe so that you can get notified when there's a new show being uploaded. So Dagmar, today it's been such a blessing to have you share your insights and your wisdom. I'm so pleased that this is coming forward at this time in universal history, where people in general are looking for something different. They know that they're not enjoying some of the things that are happening in the world, wanting to take back more of their power. And this would seem like an excellent time to be looking at, not only what's not working, but what could be even better. I like to work with appreciative inquiry. So what's working really well and how could it be even better? And I know that you're in that positive vein as well.
Well, thank you for having me here. And I always want to finish with my absolutely favorite quote. The most powerful weapon on earth is a human soul on fire. And that's from Ferdinand Clark. So we just need to get fired up and take over this consciousness.
Yes. Well, thank you, Dagmar, for joining me today. I really appreciate you, your wisdom, your energy, and look forward to our next conversation. And listeners, even if you didn't dial in today, there will be a replay. Thank you so much and have a great week, everybody.